Am I recording now? Oh, it's not what I meant to do. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Just to address the elephant in the room, yes, I did shave my beard. Yes, I am leaving for a golf trip. We're actually right after this meeting, and it is the only week of the year that my wife allows me to shave because she can't stand it. So I get to. Well, I wanted to shave it. So it all started like I just like to shave like once a year just to feel and then decide like do I want to bring the beard back or not. And then so I did it 3 years ago, and she was like, "Don't ever do that again." So now it's like I do it and then purposely keep the mustache because that drives her even bonkers, even more bonkers. And she goes, so we always do a separate vacation each year. I go on a golf trip. She goes and visits the kids in Charlotte, and so she's like, "You better be back by the time you get back." I'm like, "I'm not a chia pet, but I'll do my best." So, all right, let's dive into the market expert. Hello, everybody online. We have some really interesting news. I'm sure you've seen the headlines and saw what happened with mortgage rates. So we're going to get into that. But first, let's talk about what's going on in each market. So starting with the Owensboro, I'm starting here at the July part. A lot of greens on there. Greens are good. So 179 sales in July. That's significantly up. Biggest by far, the biggest month that we all had. Is especially looking at May and June, really down months. So it's good to see that bounce back. Days on market is staying down around 66. Median and average price are all up. Inventory is also up, and I wanted to explain this real quick. You can see we have 290 listings, but you can see our inventory went down. So at the end of June, it was right at 3 months, but in July, it was right at 2 months. And the reason being is even though there's more listings for sale, there were significantly more sales. Looking at this 179 to 129. This is just important for you all to know if you're making videos or talking to the consumer that, we could not actually increase the number of active listings at all, and yet inventory in terms of months either goes up or down because it's so tied to the number of sales from the previous month. Okay. Also looking at projected 2024 revised numbers, especially after May and June, it kind of kicked up a little bit. We were honestly looking at being in the 1500s in terms of listings sold, but that number's picked up. And most importantly, especially when we get into the economy conversation here in a second, the median and average sales prices are significantly up. Especially the median sales price. Average is more what you see on the news and things like that, but you can see we are still appreciating homes. So just more evidence that the homes market is strong as it's ever been, if we can just find buyers and sellers that are ready to transact right now, right? Looking in our Elizabethtown market, still pretty strong, not quite as strong as the Owensboro market. Of course, Elizabethtown started the year at a significantly better pace than Owensboro, and now I think Owensboro is kind of catching up. But 643 sales, the second most of the year, only behind March of 2024. 102 days on market, so we did creep down under 100, but we're trending back up above 100. Median sales price is looking good. Average sales price is up compared to last month and last couple of months, just down versus that March number is. So I'm kind of comparing like best month versus last month. Number of active listings, 630 active listings. So that number significantly up. But again, our inventory in terms of months of inventory has dropped to 1.18, mostly driven behind that stronger sales number of 643. Looking at projections for the year, now that we've had month end, just under 7,000 listings sold, so a little bit down over last year, but not as down as some of our other markets. Days on market looks like they are going to finish above 100, but again, looking at your median price, almost a 10,000 jump in median price and almost a 6,000 jump in average price. So you could say that the Elizabethtown market, while comparative to last year, isn't really doing the same things as Owensboro is. Their home appreciation is significantly more. And then looking at our Evansville market, and for this week, I'm just focusing on our three largest markets. When I come back from vacation, so 2 weeks, Kelly's going to do this meeting next week, by the way. And then when I come back 2 weeks, we're going to talk about every single territory inside of our area. But looking at the Evansville market, 3,400 sales, strongest sales month of the year. So good to see that. Days on market continue to go down. Looks like for the month of July, sitting right at 41. And then it's kind of the same story compared to last month. The average and median and average prices are down, but compared to last year and the year over year, you can see they're significantly up in Evansville. So Evansville is probably our fastest appreciating market in terms of pricing. And then looking at their inventory, 931 listings, significantly growing. I mean, we're at 775 just back at the end of April, and in 3 months, they got all the way up to 931. Due to the number of sales, inventory is still significantly lower, which is what's driving that price. So just so you all know, I know you've heard me say it a million times, the lower the inventory, the faster the appreciation. When you combine low inventory with good interest rates, that's when we get into what we were seeing in the pandemic, where basically every house you listed went multiple offers and went above asking and stuff like that. Which, what I'm kind of seeing in the market right now is if you list something under 250,000, multiple offers are still happening. It's still selling within a week if you price it right and it's in a good location and good condition. Above the 250 number, especially when you get into the 4s and 5s, I just feel like pretty much everything's sitting unless you just basically have a deal of a price on a home. So just when you're pricing homes, just keep that in mind and make sure you're explaining that to your sellers and clients also. So let's talk mortgage rates. So here's a little headline that I pulled. Mortgage rates are in free fall on a triple whammy of economic news. The triple whammy was the unemployment rate jumping to 4.3, the amount of jobs being created. I don't remember that exact number, but it's like around 113,000 if I remember correctly. And then the stock market, and we're going to talk about that here in a second, kind of reacting to that news. Basically, all signs pointing towards the economy finally starting to slow down. And if you are a stock market trader, that's really bad news for you, potentially, I guess I should say. If you're in real estate, that's really good news because that's going to drive the mortgage rates down, which would increase all of our business. So let's look at those rates. So last week at this time, fixed rates were at 6.8, FHA and VA at 6.25. And then I pulled this rate yesterday at lunchtime. I had to pull them again this morning because they already dropped about 1/10 of a point already. So looking at rates currently right now, 6.34 on a conventional. I can tell you that Vision Mortgage just quoted a conventional rate right at 6.5. So pretty in alignment with that. But look at that FHA and VA. What's it start with? Starts with a 5, right? This is what we kind of been waiting for. So I would be on the phone talking to every single FHA and VA buyer that I have, screenshotting this, take a picture of this. Well, of course, we'll send all of this stuff out right after this meeting. And I'm sending this over to them and be like, hey, now's the time. Because there's no guarantee that the rates continue to keep down. While I wish I could sit up here and tell you all that rates are going to continue to go down, the fact is that a lot of consumers are banking on not understanding why this went down, like why we had this drop, and then they're banking on another rate drop in September. Well, all that just happened is the mortgage industry basically priced in September's rate drop, knowing that for sure it's going to happen now based on the latest jobs data. So what you're seeing is when that September hits, rates aren't going to go down another 1/4 of a point. Now, will they continue to go down? Yes, because if everything trends in the same direction, we're probably going to get at least 2 rate cuts this year. So in September, they might price the November going down, but then it'll kind of hold steady until they decide to go from there. So just know the mortgage industry is always going to act ahead of the curve based on what they think's going on inside the market. So let's talk about the market. While mortgage rates went up really good, and I'll lead into something here, just general information for you. But the markets in general, and this is the Dow Jones Industrial Average, but you look at all markets, and they basically tanked over the last 2 sessions because all of a sudden, when the jobs data did what we kind of thought it was going to do 3 months ago, now everybody's freaking out and we're getting ready to go into a recession. And you can see the big dip here, mostly focused on this section here where we took the big drop. That's a 1-day drop, obviously pretty significant. But what they don't talk to you about is, and this is the last two sessions, you can see a dip here and then a dip here. This is the percentage down on average of every single stock market. So a lot of markets did lose upwards of 10%. The NASDAQ in particular, which is tech heavy, was right at like 7.8. The S&P was at 5.5. And then the Dow was down about right at 4%. So here's what I was talking about. These are headlines that I pulled from three major news sources first thing this morning. So is this 1987 all over again? Is what's driving the market meltdown? Volatility storms, buffering markets. When will it be clear? You can see some video things at the top. 6.4 trillion stock wipeout has traders feared the great unwind. Stocks are crashing. Dow tumbles 1,000 points, S&P 500 points, so on and so forth. But keep in mind, and this is what I want to be really clear on this. This is what your consumers are seeing. So what does this create in their minds? Fear, right? Let me show you, and this is going to be really hard to read. Let me show you some headlines from 2022. Economists place 70% chance for U.S. recession in 2023. Forecast for U.S. recession with this year hits 100%. This is serious. J.P. Morgan warns U.S. likely to tip into recession in the next 6 to 9 months. These sound familiar to those ones we just saw? Well, did we go into a recession in 2022 or 2023? Not at all. As a matter of fact, you could argue it's one of the strongest economies that we've ever had on a macro scale. So just know that this is a little bit of clickbait, a little bit of feeding, how many views can I get in, and also, honestly, a little bit of truth. Obviously, it's good to have some healthy skepticism. But let's look at what's actually happening. So this is the Dow Jones over the last 2 years. And you saw that dip that I showed you over 2 days. Well, if you look right here, yeah, this is that same dip. This is what happened over the last 2 years. Tons of peaks and valleys, just like anything in real estate markets, anything along those lines. But ultimately, we're still up. As a matter of fact, compared to 2 years ago, the stock market's still up over 18%, which means they're talking about how we just lost 4 to 8 to 9%, but we're actually up 18%. They're not talking about that part of it, right? So where I'm going with this is I want you to put yourself in the mind of a consumer. Let me move this so y'all can see all these questions. And think about what's the consumer, what's their concerns right now? Well, they're concerned about the stock market. They're concerned about the economy. They're concerned about interest rates, the election. Now they got to pay a buyer's commission. They have to worry about, is their home value going to go down, things like that. Well, this is all really great content, and now that you're armed with some data, and we'll send this stuff out again, for you to be able to go and make social media posts telling the truth and telling your truth. And understand, your truth is nothing more than your opinion, just like those headlines are nothing more than a beat writer's opinion, right? It doesn't make you right or wrong. It doesn't make you Nostradamus. It doesn't make you where if you miss it and you're not accurate on half the stuff that you put out there, it doesn't make you a bad person. But you have more information and data just coming to these meetings on every Tuesday than 95% of the consumers in the world. So I want you to go out and I want you to tell your story. I want you to talk about how interest rates are coming down and that's going to boost buyer activity. And then what's that mean for sellers? Meaning that you can probably sell your house faster and for more dollar than you could, just 72 hours ago. Or talk about how home values are holding steady. As a matter of fact, as we just looked at in all three of our major markets and all of our side markets too, because I did take a glance at it yesterday, homes are up a minimum of 2% this year alone. In a lot of markets, they're up 4 or 5% already. You could talk about the fact that they're having multiple offers. If you don't have a story of multiple offers, come see Kevin. He can tell you about 2 listings that had multiple offers in the last week alone. If you need to know about like historical values in election year, I'll be honest, I stay away from politics when it comes to social media stuff. If you want to do that, you can, but just know that historically, interest rates have dropped and home sales have increased every single election year for the last, I think it's like 24 years. That's 6 election cycles. Every single year, the real estate market's gotten stronger directly after a sales or after an election. Or you could talk about how you plan to negotiate on your buyer's behalf in order to get commissions covered by the seller. And we'll talk more about some of that stuff as well. But these are the things that consumers want to hear. And anytime you can solve and provide a solution to a consumer concern, what does that do? That makes you the expert. And when you become the local real estate and economist of choice in regards to real estate, then people will use you to buy and sell. Right? So this is the type of stuff to use and generate and to put out on social media. Any questions on that? Comments, concerns? Does everybody know what to do? Y'all are all good? Anybody need more notes or need me to go back and see you can screenshot anything? Okay. All right. So speaking of upcoming classes, just wanted to remind everybody, we do have the full court press training that Bobby's doing. I'm super excited about this one. Even though I'm going to be out of town, I'm going to do my best to log in and try to check this out. But Anna McKissick, who's Jimmy and Linda McKissick's daughter, she's a rock star real estate agent, rock star team leader, and now rock star regional director. I've attended trainings with Anna for probably the last 4 or 5 years, and every single time she delivers. So this is true. You do not want to miss this. If you're not available, you're at work, you're at school, anything else going on, we'll have the recording out. Just make sure you watch that. Also, Ignite kicks off, actually kicked off yesterday. That's every week on Tuesday, starting August 6th. And then we had our productivity coaching class. I know a bunch of you that were in here were also on that call. So that's going to kick off. We kind of just explained what we were doing, how we were doing it. All of that recording, our tracking sheets, all of that has already been emailed out to you. Anybody is more than welcome to attend that, whether you're the brand new agent or you're the most seasoned, highest selling agent in the world. If you want to grow your business, then there's an opportunity behind that. So come in and join us at our next meeting. And then also wanted to give you a quick reminder that I did go ahead and add Kelly to the graphic because I felt bad for her, if y'all remember last week. But but we are doing the NAR. And just so you know, we're working on our forms and developing our forms. Actually, me and Kevin were going over one this morning. But we now have exclusive buyer one-time showing agreements. You can see that on your left-hand side, as well as exclusive buyer agent agreements, as well as broker compensation disclosure forms. So when you take a listing, this is something you can have and send out. All of these things are going to be covered, how to use them, what do they look like, what's the details behind the form, what's the best practices, things like that, covered in that NAR meeting. So I hope to see everybody there. But we'll do our best to record it. We will not live stream it, but we'll do our best to record it. I'll be honest, the recording, it's probably not going to be the greatest. I'm just going to, based on where we're going, the amount of people we expect to have, it's going to be tough to see and hear everything. So do everything in your power to get there. If you can't, then obviously watch the recording. You can always come see me for a one-on-one, and I'll be glad to work with you all on that stuff as well. Just a heads up, part of the reason that we're pushing this so hard is I got some friends that are in New Jersey who just made the MLS switch, meaning compensation's off the MLS, and one of them, and he's probably the type of agent that carries 10 listings at any given time between active and pending. 27 calls yesterday. 27 calls and texts, just very simply one question. Hey, what's the compensation on this property? So just be ready for that. And that's part of the reasons we want to go through these best practices, have these forms. We're going to talk about some different things, ideas that I have just to be able to save stuff on your phone so that when you get that text, it's just a quick copy and paste to be able to send that out. Are you popping air bubbles? Did you bring enough for everybody?
Yeah, I need some of that in my life right now.
I mean, you're wearing a taco shirt and you're cooking food, but yet we have no food. All right, so just make sure you check that out. And as always, join us next Tuesday at 9:30, and that one will be led by Kelly. We'll have some good information on that, and then be ready. And then we'll get into, for everybody that's in person, we'll get into wants and needs and broker opens and stuff like that next. So appreciate everybody online. Y'all have a great day. Make sure you take a screenshot of this mustache because it's going to be at least a year before you see it again. All right. See ya.